Beloved chosen one, what you did today made God rejoice in victory. And you need to hear that with your spirit open and your heart steady. Because too often you measure your day by what did not happen, by what you still have not fixed, by what still feels delayed, by what still feels heavy. And you miss the holy truth that heaven does not look at your day the way your fear looks at it. You may have thought this day was ordinary. You may have thought your effort was small. You may have thought nobody noticed the restraint it took for you to stay kind when you were frustrated, the discipline it took for you to stay faithful when you were tired, the courage it took for you to stay honest when compromise would have been easier. But God noticed all of it. He saw the moment you chose peace over chaos. He saw the instant you pulled your thoughts back from despair. He saw the second you almost gave in to bitterness but did not. He saw you continue when your emotions begged you to withdraw. And what looked quiet on earth released joy in heaven. You are living in a time when many people only celebrate what is loud, public, and visible. But God still delights in what is pure, hidden, and true. That is why you must not despise this day. This day carried weight. This day carried meaning. This day carried evidence that you are still listening, still learning, still bending your will toward the one who called you. Maybe nobody clapped for you. Maybe nobody thanked you. Maybe the room stayed silent after your sacrifice. But heaven was not silent. Heaven understood exactly what your obedience cost you. Heaven understood the war behind your smile. Heaven understood how many thoughts you had to conquer just to remain steady. And because heaven understood, heaven rejoiced. There is something powerful about knowing that God does not only rejoice at the finish line. He rejoices in the faithful step. He rejoices in the surrendered thought. He rejoices in the disciplined mouth that refuses to speak destruction. He rejoices in the heart that chooses trust when certainty is nowhere in sight. Some people think God is only watching for failure, only watching for mistakes, only watching for the moment you collapse. But that is not the full picture of your Father. He is also watching for every sign that you are becoming who He said you could be. He is watching the seed push through the dirt. He is watching the fire refine, not consume. He is watching the child He formed begin to move with greater wisdom, greater patience, greater reverence. And today, in something you may have almost overlooked, He saw that growth in you. That is why this message finds you now. This is not coincidence. This is divine intervention. You were meant to be interrupted before you dismissed this day as nothing. You were meant to be reminded that spiritual victories often look unremarkable to the natural eye. The world may only see routine, but God sees alignment. The world may call it a small decision, but God calls it fruit. The world may not understand why you keep choosing the narrow path, why you keep turning away from what would temporarily satisfy you but permanently weaken you, why you keep guarding your soul when everyone else is carelessly spending theirs. But the Lord understands, and His joy over your obedience is not small. Maybe what you did today was simply refusing to return to an old mindset. Maybe it was refusing to answer darkness with darkness. Maybe it was getting up and handling your responsibilities while your heart still felt bruised. Maybe it was praying when no emotion came with the prayer. Maybe it was staying silent when your flesh wanted the last word. Maybe it was offering kindness to someone who could not repay you. Maybe it was choosing not to entertain the very thing that once controlled you. Do not tell yourself that such acts are minor. Every holy decision carries eternal fragrance. Every act of obedience becomes a witness. Every time you choose what is right over what is easy, something in the Spirit testifies that your life still belongs to God, and that matters deeply. Because the enemy wants you to believe that unless you see immediate results, Your obedience means nothing. That is the lie that wears down many souls. That is the whisper that tries to make disciplined people feel foolish and faithful people feel abandoned. But your obedience is never wasted. Your restraint is never wasted. Your tears are never wasted. Your quiet devotion is never wasted. God is not absent from the small places, and in fact, He often builds His greatest victories there. He forms strength in hidden places. He plants authority in surrendered places. He establishes peace in places where panic once ruled. So when you chose well today, even if your voice shook, even if your hands were tired, even if your heart was still healing, God rejoiced because He saw that His work in you is alive. Let that settle in you. God rejoiced, not tolerated, not merely observed. Rejoiced. There was delight in heaven over your yes. There was pleasure in the heart of God over your willingness to keep walking uprightly in a world that rewards shortcuts and celebrates rebellion. You gave heaven something to celebrate today, not because you were perfect, but because in the middle of your weakness, you still lean toward the light. That matters. That is beautiful. That is holy. So breathe again. Release the pressure to measure yourself only by visible outcomes. Understand that this day was richer than it seemed. Understand that your unseen victories are not invisible to God. Understand that the Lord who formed you also knows how to read the language of your effort, your struggle, your resistance, and your surrender. And before this moment passes, comment 999 as your sign that you receive what heaven is saying over your life today. You are not behind because the battle was quiet. You are not failing because the victory was hidden. You are not forgotten because the reward has not yet appeared in visible form. You are being shaped, and heaven is responding. What you did today made God rejoice in victory, and that means this day was not empty. It was sacred. It was marked. It was living proof that grace is still at work in you, and that the story unfolding over your life is far more glorious than what human eyes can presently see. What seemed small to you was not small at all. That is the mystery you are being invited to understand right now. You are living through moments that look ordinary from the outside, yet they are carrying a spiritual weight your natural eyes cannot fully measure. You may have thought today was just another day of trying to stay centered, trying to stay faithful, trying to keep your heart from drifting into places God already brought you out of. But in the Spirit, this was not just maintenance. This was movement. This was not just survival. This was alignment. What looked like one quiet decision in your life became a turning point that reached farther than you know. This is where many chosen ones misread their own story. They assume that only dramatic actions matter. They assume that only visible breakthroughs count as proof that heaven is moving. They assume that unless the ground shakes immediately, nothing significant happened. But God has never been limited to the language of spectacle. He is the God who hides greatness inside what others overlook. He is the God who places eternal consequence inside a simple act of obedience. He is the God who can take one surrendered response, one disciplined refusal, one moment of trust, and cause it to echo into places you never even knew were waiting on your yes. That is why you must be careful not to dishonor what happened today by calling it small. What you did may have looked like restraint. It may have looked like patience. It may have looked like holding your peace when you had every reason to react. It may have looked like saying no to a familiar temptation. It may have looked like choosing prayer over panic, silence over revenge, humility over self-protection, truth over convenience. But heaven does not grade your obedience by how dramatic it appears. Heaven weighs it by the depth of surrender within it. And when surrender is real, the impact is never shallow. Think of David before anyone called him king, before crowds sang his name, before the throne, before the battles everyone remembers. There was a field, there was isolation, there were sheep, there were long hidden hours where no audience stood nearby to applaud his faithfulness. And yet those hidden hours were not empty. They were shaping a man whose private devotion would one day steady a nation. When David stood before Goliath, the giant did not fall because of one random burst of courage. The giant fell because of a life that had already been trained in unseen places. David had learned that what happens in secret is never separate from what happens in destiny. He had learned that the God who watches the hidden place is the same God who reveals his power in the open place. That is why your small act today matters so deeply. It is connected to something larger than your present emotion. It is tied to formation. It is tied to readiness. It is tied to authority. Every time you obey God in what seems minor, you are strengthening something within you that will be needed later. Every time you refuse what would weaken your spirit, you are protecting the future weight your life is meant to carry. Every time you choose the narrow path, something in you becomes less fragile and more grounded in truth. You may not feel the shift immediately to one, but the shift is real. Scripture says, whoever can be trusted with very little can also be trusted with much. Luke chapter 16, verse 10. That is not just instruction, it is revelation. It means the little is never merely little. The little is the proving ground. The little is the training field. The little is where loyalty is tested, where motives are purified, where character becomes strong enough to hold what prayer has been asking for. So when you chose well today in a matter others might dismiss, you stepped into a principle heaven deeply honors. You showed that your heart is still teachable. You showed that your spirit still responds to conviction. You showed that even without applause, you are willing to move with God. David understood this in ways many people miss. He did not become trustworthy when the spotlight arrived. He was trustworthy when only God was watching. He did not suddenly become brave in front of the giant. Courage had already been formed through private dependence on the Lord. And this is where your life is speaking more loudly than you realize. Because the decision you made today was not just about today. It was evidence. Evidence that God is building something in you that can stand under pressure. Evidence that your spirit is maturing. Evidence that you are not as easily ruled by impulse as you once were. Evidence that your yes still belongs to God even in the places where no one else can verify it. Do you see what that means? It means realms shifted because you chose obedience instead of indulgence. It means patterns were interrupted because you did not feed what used to control you. It means darkness lost access because you closed a door that once stood open. It means your future was strengthened because your present decision agreed with truth. These things do not always come with lightning, noise, or instant explanation. Sometimes they come as a deep, invisible rearranging. Sometimes they come as heaven marking a moment you almost rushed past. Sometimes they come as God rejoicing over a child who is finally learning to choose what leads to life. And just as David once faced a giant with the memory of secret victories still alive in him, you are being prepared through choices that seem smaller than they are. One day you will look back and realize that today was not random. Today was part of your equipping. Today was part of your becoming. Today was one more stone placed into the hand of a life God is preparing to use with precision and power. So do not reduce this moment. Do not speak lightly of the decision you made. Do not call it insignificant simply because it was quiet. The God who shaped David in pastures is shaping you in this hour. The God who honored hidden faithfulness then still honors hidden faithfulness now. and what you did today, though it may have seemed almost too simple to matter, carried enough obedience to move the unseen and enough sincerity to make heaven take notice. Heaven witnessed your private battle, and that matters more than you know, because some of the most important victories in your life will never begin in public. They begin in the inner room of choice. They begin in the silent place where your thoughts are tested, where your motives are sifted, where the old self asks for control and the Spirit of God gently calls you higher. That is where your battle unfolded today. No crowd gathered around you, no trumpet announced the moment. No one may ever fully understand the cost of what it took for you to remain steady. But heaven saw it clearly, and heaven did not treat it as a passing detail. Heaven recognized it as warfare. This is where the chosen often feel misunderstood. People can see your face and still miss your fight. They can hear your voice and still not know what you had to overcome just to speak with peace. They can watch you continue through the day and never realize how many thoughts tried to pull you backward, how many emotions tried to shake your balance, how many memories tried to reopen old wounds, how many subtle invitations tried to lure you into a version of yourself God has already called you out of. Yet in the middle of that invisible struggle, you did not fully surrender to the lower voice. You did not let the battle own you. You stood, maybe trembling, maybe tired, maybe not as strong as you wanted to feel, but you stood. And that standing became a testimony in the Spirit. David knew this kind of battle long before the world knew his name. When people think of David, they often rush toward the giant, the sling, the stone, the victory everyone could see. But before that public moment, there were private wrestlings no one celebrated. There were lonely nights under an open sky. There were hours of guarding what had been entrusted to him when no one called it impressive. There were threats that never became songs because no audience was there to sing about them later. A lion came. A bear came. The danger was real, the struggle was intense, and the field did not offer applause. But those battles mattered because they formed something inside him that could not be borrowed when the larger test arrived. That is what happens in your life as well. The battles no one sees are still building you. The restraint no one praises is still strengthening you. The moment you resist the urge to retaliate, the moment you refuse to agree with hopelessness, the moment you choose truth over the emotional storm passing through you, those moments become part of your spiritual substance. They are not lost. They are not forgotten. They are becoming the hidden architecture of your future strength. This is why the enemy works so hard to convince you that private battles do not count. If he can make you despise the unseen war, he can make you abandon the very ground where deep authority is formed. But you are learning something David learned in secret. A battle does not need an audience to be holy. A victory does not need witnesses to be real. God can turn a field into a sanctuary and a struggle into preparation. God can use hidden pressure to produce visible steadiness later. The battle you fought today may have looked like an inward thing, but heaven knows inward things shape outward destinies. Heaven knows one mastered thought can prevent a ruined season. Heaven knows one moment of obedience can close a door the enemy hoped to use for far longer. Heaven knows one refusal to return to old patterns can preserve your peace, your calling, and your clarity. This is why you cannot judge your progress only by what other people can confirm. Some of your greatest growth has happened where no human eye could validate it. Some of your holiest decisions have been made in silence. Some of your most powerful acts of obedience have looked like doing nothing to the outside world, when in truth you were doing something immense in the spirit. You were refusing to let darkness define your response. You were refusing to let pain become your teacher. You were refusing to let weariness become permission to fall. That is not weakness. That is warfare handled with maturity. David carried the memory of those secret places into every public moment that followed. He did not stand before Goliath empty. He stood there with history. He stood there with proof that God had already met him in hidden battles. He stood there with confidence that had been born in solitude. And in the same way, you are carrying unseen victories forward even now. You may not feel dramatic. You may not feel powerful. But every hidden yes you give to God is becoming part of your history with Him. Every private battle won through dependence on Him is becoming part of your testimony. Later, when you face what is larger, louder, and harder to ignore, you will not be drawing strength from nowhere. You will be drawing strength from the places where God already kept you. So take heart. The private struggle was not pointless. The tears were not pointless. The self-control was not pointless. The inner wrestling that made you feel exhausted by the end of the day was not empty labor. Heaven saw a warrior being refined. Heaven saw someone refusing to bow to what once would have mastered them. Heaven saw faith choosing to breathe even under pressure. That is why heaven recorded this day differently than you did. And as this message is settling into you, let it become more than a passing encouragement. Let it anchor you. If this word is meeting you right in the place you have been fighting unseen battles, let your quiet agreement take form. You can like this message, share it with someone else who has been standing in silent warfare, and subscribe so you stay connected to words that strengthen your spirit when the battle is hidden and the road feels long. And if your heart has been moved to support this work, there is also a way to donate through the description, helping this message continue reaching those who need light in their hardest unseen hours. You are not overlooked because the battle was private. You are not weak because the struggle was inward. You are not forgotten because no one around you knew what you were carrying. The God who strengthened David in the field is strengthening you now. He sees the battle beneath the surface. He honors the obedience no one else can measure. And what was won in secret today is already preparing you for moments ahead that will require exactly this kind of hidden courage. When you did not quit today, God rejoiced. And that truth carries more strength than you realize, than because there was a moment when giving up would have felt easier. There was a moment when silence could have turned into surrender, when weariness could have turned into withdrawal, when disappointment could have persuaded you to loosen your grip on what is right. Yet somewhere in the middle of that inner pressure, you kept going. It may not have looked dramatic. It may not have sounded powerful. It may have been nothing more visible than choosing to stay steady for one more hour. Choosing not to let your thoughts run wild. Choosing not to abandon your post. Choosing not to return to what God has already brought you out of. But that choice mattered. That endurance released a sound of triumph in heaven. There is a kind of obedience that only becomes visible under pressure. Anyone can speak confidently when the path is smooth. Anyone can say they trust God when the outcome is already comfortable. But endurance reveals what comfort cannot reveal. Endurance shows what remains in you when the feeling fades, when the answers delay, when the weight increases, when no visible reward arrives to strengthen your motivation. This is where many souls get tired and begin to believe that quitting would at least bring relief. Yet the relief that comes from quitting is never the same as the peace that comes from enduring. One abandons the process. The other passes through it. One leaves you emptier. The other leaves you stronger. And today, even in a way that may have felt very small to you, you chose endurance. David knew this road well. Long before he sat on a throne, he lived through seasons where the promise over his life did not match the conditions around him. He was anointed, yet not established, chosen, yet not enthroned, honored by God, yet often misunderstood by people. There were long stretches where he could have become bitter, long stretches where he could have treated delay as rejection, long stretches where he could have taken matters into his own hands and forced what only God had the right timing to unfold. But David learned that destiny is not only about receiving a promise, it is also about surviving the process between the promise and the fulfillment without losing your soul. That may be where this message is meeting you. You know enough of God to understand that your life is not random, but you are also tired enough to feel the strain of becoming. You are carrying both revelation and fatigue. You believe, yet you feel the cost. You want to stay faithful, yet the waiting has tested places in you that comfort never could. This is why your endurance today was precious to heaven. It was not empty effort. It was not meaningless strain. It was evidence that, though pressured, you are still turned toward God. Evidence that your spirit is not fully governed by feelings. Evidence that even in weakness, you still know where to stand. David faced this kind of testing most sharply when he had the chance to end his hardship in a flesh-driven way. Saul was pursuing him. The injustice was real. The danger was real. The opportunity to strike back appeared to present itself. From a human perspective, it would have been easy to justify immediate action. He had already been anointed. He had already been hunted. He had already suffered enough to tell himself that this was the moment to secure his own victory. But David did not seize what he was meant to inherit by violating the heart of God. He endured. He restrained himself. He chose reverence over revenge. That choice revealed more strength than many visible battles ever could. This is why endurance is not passive. It is not weakness. It is not the absence of action. Endurance is disciplined trust. It is the strength to remain aligned when misalignment offers quicker comfort. It is the courage to keep your soul under God when your emotions are trying to drag it elsewhere. It is the refusal to let a hard moment write a false story about your future. And when you endure this way, heaven does not overlook it. Heaven responds to it. Heaven recognizes the beauty of a heart that remains yielded under strain. Scripture says, "I have fought the good fight. I have finished the race. I have kept the faith." 2 Timothy chapter 4, verse 7. That verse carries the sound of completion, but it is built on many hidden moments of endurance. Nobody reaches that kind of testimony by accident. It is formed through daily refusals to quit, through steady choices to continue, through repeated surrender when stopping would feel easier. You may not be at the finish line of what God is doing in your life, but today you kept the faith in one more moment, and heaven rejoiced over that. Do not underestimate what your refusal to quit is doing inside you. It is teaching your soul not to panic when the process stretches longer than expected. It is teaching your heart to remain rooted when circumstances shift. It is teaching your mind to return to truth instead of wandering into defeat. It is building spiritual stamina. It is proving that your obedience is not only emotional, but anchored. And anchored obedience is what carries a person through storms that would have broken a lesser foundation. David did not become a man after God's own heart because everything around him stayed easy. He became that kind of man because, in moments where he could have drifted into self-will, he kept returning to God's heart. He faltered at times. Yes, but again and again he returned. Again and again he endured. Again and again he refused to let hardship completely deform what God had placed inside him. And that same shaping is happening in you. Every time you stay with God through the strain, something holy becomes steadier in your life. So hear this clearly, Omum. When you did not quit today, heaven did not call that ordinary. Heaven called it victory. not because the road is finished, but because endurance itself is a sign that grace is active in you. The God who sustained David through caves, delays, betrayals, and long unanswered tension is sustaining you now. Your decision to continue has meaning. Your steady obedience has weight. And the triumph heaven released over your life today was not based on spectacle, but on the quiet power of a soul that kept walking with God when stopping would have been easier. At the beginning of this moment, there is one practical note for those of you who have been feeling mentally drained, unfocused, creatively blocked, or emotionally overstretched. A product some listeners may find helpful is the Genius Wave, also called Genius Song, a short audio experience described as using carefully designed sound patterns connected with brainwave entrainment. It is presented as a simple daily listening practice of about 7 minutes, created to support focus, clarity, creativity, learning, calm, and mental sharpness without requiring complicated routines. For someone who feels stuck in mental fog, scattered thoughts, low motivation, stress, or difficulty settling the mind, that kind of tool may feel relevant. If you want to look into it, use only the official information linked in the description or pinned comment, and be careful with imitators or fake versions. If you decide to try it, only use the official source. Now return with me to the deeper current beneath all of this. Because even when your mind is tired and your heart feels stretched, mercy still knows how to meet you in the exact place where you almost broke. That is the sacred center of what happened today. You were not simply surviving a difficult moment. You were being met by grace in real time. There was a point when the pressure came close enough to make you wonder whether you could hold your peace, whether you could keep your thoughts from falling into old pits, whether you could remain faithful in a moment that asked more of you than you wanted to give. And right there, before the collapse you feared, mercy stepped in. This is one of the most tender truths a chosen one can learn. God does not only meet you after the storm has passed. He meets you in the middle of the strain. He meets you in the instant your strength thins out. He meets you where your own ability reaches its limit. Many people imagine mercy as something that only speaks after failure. But mercy also comes before the fall. Mercy can steady a trembling soul. Mercy can interrupt an old pattern. Mercy can place a holy pause between your pain and your reaction. Mercy can hold you together long enough for obedience to breathe again. David knew this mercy well. There were many seasons in his life when the pressure was not just emotional. It was personal, public, dangerous, prolonged. He knew what it meant to be pursued. He knew what it meant to carry a promise while living in discomfort. He knew what it meant to feel the nearness of threat and the length of delay at the same time. Yet again and again, mercy met him before he shattered, not because he was never weak, and not because he never felt overwhelmed, but because the hand of God kept preserving him in moments that could have become ruin. Think about David in the caves. That image carries more than physical hiding. It speaks of seasons when life narrows, when movement feels restricted, when the soul wrestles with questions it cannot quickly resolve. In such places, a person can become harsh, suspicious, reactive, impatient. The inward world can begin to crack under the weight of waiting. But David was not abandoned there. Mercy kept him. Mercy did not remove every hardship at once, but it guarded his heart from becoming completely shaped by hardship. And that matters, because one of the greatest miracles in a difficult season is not only that you survive it, it is that you do not become spiritually unrecognizable within it. That is what happened for you today. Mercy kept you from becoming what the pressure tried to produce. The strain may have wanted to make you sharp with your words, Mercy made room for restraint. The disappointment may have wanted to make you cynical. Mercy made room for trust. The exhaustion may have wanted to make you careless. Mercy made room for clarity. The ache may have wanted to pull you into old emotional reflexes. Mercy stood in the doorway and did not let everything enter. You may not have felt powerful in that moment, but what held you together was stronger than the pressure pushing against you. There is a holy comfort in knowing that God does not demand strength from you without also supplying grace. He knows your frame. He knows where the mind gets tired, where the heart gets sensitive, where the flesh gets impulsive, where memory gets loud. He knows the exact point where you are most likely to buckle. And because he knows, his mercy is not random. It is precise. It arrives where it is needed most. It touches the very fracture line the enemy hoped would split open. It gives breath where panic tried to take over. It gives softness where bitterness tried to settle. It gives patience where frustration demanded immediate release. David's life carries this pattern like a thread running through every trial. He was not preserved by talent alone. He was not sustained by personality alone. He was kept by mercy. Mercy when he was overlooked. Mercy when he was hunted. Mercy when he was weary. Mercy when he was confronted with choices that could have warped his destiny. And in your own day, the same God has been at work. You almost broke, but mercy arrived first. You almost let the moment define you, but grace drew a boundary. You almost answered from the wound, but heaven gave you enough room to answer from a steadier place. Do not rush past that. Some of the most life-changing moments are not the moments where everything around you visibly changes. They are the moments where God keeps your inner world from collapsing. They are the moments where your spirit remains responsive when it could have gone numb. They are the moments where you somehow still choose light while feeling surrounded by pressure. Those moments are signs that mercy is not an abstract idea. Mercy is active. Mercy is near. Mercy is personal. Mercy knows your name and reaches into the details of your day. So if you wondered whether God was present in the moment you nearly came apart, let this settle deeply within you. He was there. He was not standing at a distance waiting to evaluate the aftermath. He was there in the very place of tension. He was there in the hidden cry you did not fully know how to form into words. He was there in the pause that kept you from crossing back into what he had already delivered you from. And because he was there, what could have become a breaking point became a meeting place with grace. That is why this day matters. Not just because you endured, not just because you obeyed, but because mercy met you exactly where you were weakest and proved once again that God knows how to keep what belongs to him. Just as he kept David in caves, in fields, in waiting and in pressure, he is keeping you now. And the grace that carried you through this moment is already becoming part of the strength you will walk in tomorrow. Angels responded to your decision today, even though you may have thought nothing was happening beyond what you could feel. This is where the spiritual life becomes deeper than appearances, because there are moments when one act of obedience on earth sends motion through places your eyes cannot see. You may have thought you were simply choosing patience. You may have thought you were only resisting one wrong reaction, one familiar temptation, one tired impulse, one old way of handling pressure. But in the unseen realm, your decision was not isolated. It carried agreement with heaven. And whenever your life comes into agreement with heaven, there is movement. Many people want visible proof before they believe God is active. They want immediate change, instant confirmation, dramatic signs, something they can point to and say, this is the moment everything shifted. But often the first movement is unseen. Often the first response is spiritual before it becomes visible. Often the first evidence is not around you but above you. This does not make it less real. It makes it deeper. God is always doing more than you can measure in the moment. And one of the great lessons of faith is learning that silence is not inactivity. Hidden movement is still movement. Invisible support is still support. Heaven can be arranging, guarding, redirecting, and strengthening long before your natural circumstances catch up. David lived inside this mystery again and again. His life was filled with moments when earthly conditions looked unstable, yet heaven was not absent for 1 second. In the field, no one around him would have guessed that a shepherd boy was being attended by divine purpose. In the cave, no one looking only at his surroundings would have imagined that the hand of God was still preserving his path. In the wilderness, when danger seemed close and certainty seemed far away, David was never truly alone. The Lord was with him, and where the Lord is present, heaven is not passive. There is something important for you to understand here. Angels do not respond to human pride. They do not move in harmony with rebellion, self-glory, or stubborn resistance to God, but they do respond within the order of God's will. They move in the atmosphere of obedience, reverence, surrender, and divine assignment. So when you chose rightly today, even in a quiet and deeply personal way, you were not acting alone. Your choice became a point of cooperation with the purposes of God. That cooperation matters. It opens room for divine order to prevail where chaos once tried to rule. David understood this kind of support, even when he could not fully name every detail of it. There were times he should have been destroyed and was not. Times he should have been trapped and found a way through. Times when his enemies pressed close, yet a strange preservation held. Times when his soul could have drowned in fear, yet songs still rose from him in the night. That is not the language of abandonment. That is the language of a life being attended to by heaven. Not always comfortably, not always quickly, not always in ways the natural mind could predict, but truly and faithfully attended to. What happened in your life today belongs to that same pattern. Your decision created spiritual alignment. Perhaps you chose not to say what anger wanted to say. Perhaps you chose not to return to a habit that once numbed your pain. Perhaps you chose not to let despair narrate your future. Perhaps you simply kept your heart open to God when shutting down would have been easier. Whatever form it took, it mattered because obedience creates room for holy movement. And when holy movement begins, much more is taking place than human eyes can report. This should strengthen you in the days ahead. You do not have to live as though every meaningful thing must be immediately visible. You do not have to judge heaven's activity by your emotional temperature in one difficult hour. You do not have to assume that because you cannot see the full picture. The picture is empty. There are moments when the most important response to your life is taking place beyond your sight. Protection you did not notice. Delay that preserved you. Redirection you did not understand. Peace that arrived without announcement. Strength that held you together when you should have unraveled faster than you did. These things are not accidents. They are signs that God's government over your life is active. And this is why your obedience matters so much more than your feelings. Feelings shift quickly. Obedience establishes something. Feelings rise and fall with pressure, memory, and circumstance. Obedience plants your life in agreement with truth. David surely felt fear at times. He surely felt confusion, loneliness, and exhaustion. Yet beneath all of that, there remained a turning toward God that kept his life within the current of divine help. That turning is what matters in your life too. Not flawless performance, not emotional intensity, but sincere agreement with God, heaven responds to that. So take courage. You may have ended today thinking nothing major happened, yet heaven may record it differently. Heaven may record that you closed a door the enemy hoped to keep open. Heaven may record that you preserved your peace. Heaven may record that you passed a hidden test. Heaven may record that your decision invited order where confusion had been trying to spread. Heaven may record that unseen help was released because your heart still chose the will of God over the pull of the moment. As you keep walking with this message, let it become part of your rhythm, not just part of your memory. If this word is strengthening you, you can like it so more people living through hidden spiritual battles may come across it. You can share it with someone who needs to know that heaven is not absent from their unseen struggle. You can subscribe so these messages continue meeting you with strength and clarity when you need them most. And if you feel led to help support this work, there is a way to donate through the description, helping these words continue reaching hearts that are tired, searching, and still trying to stay aligned with God. David's story reminds you that divine help is often nearest when circumstances look least impressive. The field did not look important. The cave did not look glorious. The wilderness did not look like fulfillment. Yet heaven remained engaged in every one of those places. And in your own life, the same pattern is unfolding. Your decision today was heard. Your obedience today was seen. Your alignment today was not wasted. Angels responded because heaven recognizes agreement with God's will. And the movement released through that agreement is already becoming part of the way God is guiding, guarding, and preparing your next steps. Darkness lost ground because of what you did today. And that is not poetic exaggeration. That is spiritual truth. When you chose obedience instead of agreement with the pressure around you, something real shifted. When you refused to let the wrong thought settle. When you held back the wrong response. When you stayed aligned with God instead of feeding what would weaken your spirit. Darkness lost access. It lost room. It lost momentum. It lost the easy opening it was hoping to keep inside your life. You may have felt like you were only making one difficult decision in one difficult moment. But in the unseen realm, that decision carried consequence. It pushed back against what had been trying to grow in secret. This is one of the great realities many people overlook. Darkness does not always enter with dramatic signs. Sometimes it advances through repetition, through small compromises, through tolerated bitterness, through unchecked thoughts, through weariness that slowly becomes agreement with despair, through moments when a soul stops guarding the gates of the heart because the battle feels too tiring to keep fighting. That is why your decision mattered so much. You interrupted that pattern. You did not let the wrong thing keep spreading. You did not let the enemy build freely in a place that belongs to God. You drew a line by your obedience. And because you drew that line, darkness had to give up ground. David understood this in ways that were both outward and inward. He faced visible enemies, yes. But the deeper conflict in his life was always about what would rule the inner man. The lion and the bear were real. Goliath was real. Saul's pursuit was real. Betrayal was real. Delay was real. But beneath every outward challenge was another question. Would fear rule him? Would pride rule him? Would revenge rule him? Would unbelief rule him? Would the pressure deform his heart until he no longer resembled the man God had chosen? That is always the greater war. Not simply what stands against you, but what tries to establish itself within you while the battle is happening. That is why David's restraint in hard moments mattered just as much as his visible courage in public ones. Anyone who only studies the giant misses the mystery. The giant fell in one day, But the deeper victory was the kind of heart being formed through all the days before and after. David had opportunities to become something harder, colder, more self-exalting. He could have let pain train him into cruelty. He could have let injustice teach him vengeance. He could have let fear make him grasp for control. Yet again and again, there were moments when he refused to let darkness settle permanently into his spirit. He was not flawless, but he kept returning. He kept yielding. He kept choosing the fear of the Lord over the seduction of self-rule. That is what happened in your life today. Darkness was trying to keep a claim, maybe through discouragement, maybe through anger, maybe through mental exhaustion, maybe through an old appetite that knows when you are vulnerable, maybe through the whisper that says you are too tired to keep resisting, too disappointed to keep trusting, too overlooked to keep choosing the narrow road. But you did choose it. That choice was not small. It was territorial. It reclaimed ground. It declared that your inner life is not available for hell to decorate as it pleases. It declared that your mind still belongs under God's authority. It declared that your heart is still under holy construction, not hostile takeover. Scripture says, "Submit yourselves therefore to God. Resist the devil, and he will flee from you." James chapter 4, verse 7. Notice the order: submission first, then resistance. This is why your obedience today carried force. You were not simply trying to be strong in your own willpower. You were bringing your life back under God's order. And from that place, resistance became effective. Darkness does not fear empty human pride, but it does lose ground when a life comes back under God and refuses to cooperate with what is destructive. That is what made your stand powerful. David's life shows this pattern with clarity. When he trusted God in the field, darkness lost ground. When he stood before Goliath in covenant faith instead of human fear, darkness lost ground. When he spared Saul instead of seizing power through violence, darkness lost ground. Each act of surrendered obedience pushed back against another kingdom's logic. That other kingdom says grasp, react, dominate, protect yourself at any cost, answer evil with flesh. But God's kingdom forms a different kind of strength. Trust instead of panic, reverence instead of impulse, patience instead of self-enthronement, integrity instead of hidden decay. So every time David chose according to God's heart, even imperfectly, the rule of darkness was challenged. And the same is true for you now. You may have thought your battle today was only emotional, but it was more than emotional. You may have thought it was merely mental fatigue, but it was more than fatigue. There was pressure on your agreement. There was pressure on your loyalty. There was pressure on what story you would let govern your response. Yet you did not hand over full control. You may have bent under the weight, but you did not belong to the weight. You may have felt the pull, but you did not give it the final word, and then because of that, ground shifted. Do not underestimate the power of denied access. Some victories look like progress. Others look like prevention. Some victories are open doors. Others are doors kept shut. Some victories are public breakthroughs. Others are private refusals that stop darkness from rebuilding what God already tore down. Those quieter victories are often the ones that preserve a calling over time. David's destiny was not guarded only by brave actions. It was guarded by sacred refusals. Refusals to move ahead of God. Refusals to become lawless in pain. Refusals to let bitterness write his identity. And your destiny too is being protected not only by what you do, but by what you refuse to let back in. So hear this deeply. Darkness did lose ground today, not because you felt mighty, but because you stayed yielded. Not because everything around you changed at once, but because something within you remained under God's hand. The enemy was hoping for agreement, and he did not get it fully. He was hoping for surrender to the wrong voice, and he did not get it fully. He was hoping to reclaim what grace had already begun cleansing, and he did not get free access. That matters. That is real warfare. And the God who taught David's hands for battle is teaching your soul how to stand in the hidden places where kingdoms quietly collide. Your obedience echoes into destiny. And this is why what you did today cannot be measured only by the moment itself. It is already reaching farther than the hour in which it happened. It is already touching places ahead of you. It is already shaping the kind of person you will be when greater doors open, when larger responsibilities arrive, when heavier decisions are placed in your hands. Many people want destiny to appear suddenly, as though calling drops from heaven fully formed. But God usually builds it through repeated acts of quiet obedience. He forms future capacity inside present surrender. He prepares tomorrow's strength through today's hidden agreement with Him. That is the sacred connection you are being asked to see. What you did today was not isolated. It was not a disconnected act of discipline with no larger consequence. It was part of your becoming. It was part of your preparation. It was part of the way God is teaching your inner life to carry greater weight without collapsing under it. The decision you made today may have looked like restraint, patience, humility, silence, trust, or a refusal to return to an old pattern. But beneath that visible choice was something deeper. You were practicing alignment. You were training your spirit to stay under God's voice even when another voice offered a quicker comfort. And that kind of training always reaches into destiny. David's life reveals this truth with extraordinary clarity. He was not prepared for great responsibility in one moment. He was prepared over time. The pasture prepared him. The solitude prepared him. The hidden battles prepared him. The songs in the night prepared him. The pressure of waiting prepared him. The discipline of not seizing what God had promised before the right time prepared him. Every stage was shaping him for the next one. So when his future finally opened in visible ways, it was not truly sudden. It was the unveiling of what hidden obedience had already been building for years. That is how God often works with chosen ones. He lets destiny grow roots before it grows branches. He deepens character before enlarging influence. He strengthens the unseen life before entrusting visible increase. This is mercy, not delay for the sake of frustration. Because a person can receive a large assignment before they are inwardly formed enough to carry it well. And when that happens, blessing becomes burden. Influence becomes exposure, and opportunity becomes pressure that reveals what was never healed or disciplined. But when God shapes you through hidden obedience first, He is not withholding. He is preparing. You may not yet understand how much today's obedience is protecting your future. The reaction you did not give, the compromise you did not entertain, the despair you did not fully agree with, the old path you did not walk back onto. All of it matters because destiny is affected by repeated agreements. Every yes to God trains your life in one direction. Every no to the flesh trains your life in another. Over time, these repeated directions become spiritual momentum. They become habits of the heart. They become the inner architecture that determines whether a person can stand when their calling increases in visibility and weight. David had to learn this deeply. He had already been anointed, yet his heart still needed many seasons of formation before the full shape of his kingship could emerge. Imagine if he had taken the throne only with courage but without restraint. Imagine if he had gained influence without first learning reverence. Imagine if he had become visible without being taught in the hidden places how to return again and again to dependence on God. His future required more than talent. It required a heart that had been trained. So every wilderness season, every silent season, every restrained response was not meaningless suffering. It was part of the making of a king. That is why you must stop speaking of your hidden obedience as though it were separate from your calling. It is not separate. It is woven into it. The future God has for you will not only be built by major moments everyone notices. It will be built by the secret moments no one else sees. By the thoughts you refuse, by the habits you surrender, salam, and by the humility you choose. By the truth you continue to stand on when emotion would rather collapse. Your destiny is not only waiting ahead of you, it is being shaped within you right now. Scripture says, "Do not despise these small beginnings, for the Lord rejoices to see the work begin." Zechariah chapter 4, verse 10. That word is not merely about beginnings in the visible sense. It also speaks to the kind of holy work that starts quietly inside a life. Small beginnings can be the first signs of a stronger mind, a steadier spirit, a more guarded heart, a cleaner motive, a more disciplined response. And the Lord rejoices in these beginnings because He sees what they are becoming. He sees the harvest hidden in the seed. He sees the future strength hidden in present obedience. David's story keeps reminding you that destiny does not begin when others recognize you. It begins when God starts forming you. It begins when your heart learns to agree with Him in the field, not only on the platform. It begins when obedience matters even without applause. It begins when the private life becomes a place of training instead of neglect. Today was part of that process for you. Today was one more thread being woven into the larger garment of your calling. Today was one more lesson in how to stay aligned when no visible reward arrives immediately. Today was one more hidden victory that will strengthen you later when the stakes are higher. So do not treat this day lightly. Do not call it ordinary simply because no one else understood its cost. Heaven understood it. Heaven knows the future it is preparing you for. Heaven knows how one surrendered decision can preserve years of progress. Heaven knows how one moment of obedience can become a cornerstone for greater trust later. And heaven knows that you are being shaped into someone who can carry more because you are learning faithfulness in what seems small. Let this settle into your spirit with peace. You are not merely passing through random days. You are being formed on purpose. The same God who prepared David through hidden seasons is preparing you now through choices that seem modest, but are anything but empty. What you did today is already echoing into places you have not reached yet. It is strengthening your future. It is purifying your path. It is teaching your soul how to remain under God's hand when more will be required of you. If this word is landing in your heart, comment, "God leads me." You are becoming ready in ways you cannot fully see yet. And one day, when a greater moment opens before you, you will realize that this quiet day of obedience was never small at all. It was one of the ways God was preparing your destiny to recognize you when the time came. This is not coincidence. It is calling. That is the truth settling over your life right now. Because what happened today was not just another passing moment in a long chain of days. It was part of a pattern. It was part of a holy shaping. It was part of the way God marks His chosen through repeated surrender, through quiet agreement, through decisions that look simple on the outside but carry deep spiritual meaning in the unseen realm. You are not being formed by accident. You are being formed through consistency. And every time you say yes to God in the hidden places, something in your life is being marked more clearly for His purpose. Many people look for calling only in dramatic events. They expect it to arrive with sudden clarity, with immediate elevation, with some unmistakable external sign that removes all need for faith. But calling often reveals itself more slowly than that. It is not always announced in one thunderous moment. Sometimes it becomes visible through a trail of obedience, through the repeated choice to stay aligned, through the willingness to be shaped when no spotlight is present, through the steady surrender that keeps setting you apart from what is common, careless, and spiritually dull. That is how calling often takes hold in a life, not only through what God speaks over you, but through what your obedience confirms within you. David's story carries this pattern with remarkable power. He was anointed by Samuel in a moment that seemed extraordinary. But the deeper proving of his calling did not happen in that single event. It unfolded over years. It unfolded in hidden service, in solitude, in danger, in waiting, in restraint, in worship, in testing. The oil was poured in one moment, but the shape of the calling was revealed through many others. That matters for you to understand, because you may be waiting for one event to explain everything, while God is already revealing your calling through the kind of person you are becoming in ordinary days. David was marked before the throne ever came into view. He was marked in the field when he was faithful without recognition. He was marked in the battle when he trusted God more than visible threat. He was marked in the cave when he refused to let hardship turn him lawless. He was marked in the waiting when he did not force what only God could establish. Those moments were not interruptions to his calling. They were the evidence of it. They were the signs that his heart was being trained to carry what his future would demand. That is what your repeated surrender is doing now. It is not making you smaller. It is marking you. It is not erasing your identity. It is clarifying it. Every time you refuse the path that would harden your heart, your life becomes more clearly aligned with the hand of God. Every time you choose trust over panic, reverence over impulse, truth over emotional confusion, your calling becomes more visible in substance, even if it is not yet visible in platform. You are being distinguished by your yes. You are being set apart by what you continue to surrender. This matters because calling is never just about what you are sent to do. It is also about what kind of spirit you carry while doing it. A person may desire impact, but if the inner life remains unformed, the outer assignment becomes dangerous. God does not merely appoint tasks. He shapes vessels. He forms people who can carry his purposes without being destroyed by pride, haste, bitterness, or self-dependence. So when your life is pressed and you still return to obedience, heaven is not wasting your time. Heaven is engraving something deeper into you. Heaven is marking you through consistency. Scripture says, "Many are the plans in a person's heart, but it is the Lord's purpose that prevails." Proverbs chapter 19, verse 21. That verse reminds you that calling is not built on human ambition alone. It is established by the purpose of God. And the purpose of God does not prevail through noise alone. It prevails through the kind of daily surrender that lets His will shape your life over time. So when you obeyed today, even in a hidden matter, you were not stepping away from your calling. You were stepping deeper into it. David's life proves that the marked ones are often shaped in ways the world misunderstands. From the outside, some of his seasons may have looked delayed, inconvenient, even contradictory. Why would someone chosen for kingship spend time in caves? Why would someone marked by God face long periods of obscurity and pressure? Why would someone anointed still have to endure misunderstanding and danger? But those very seasons were part of the marking. They taught him dependence. They taught him reverence. They taught him how to seek God's heart when ease was absent. They taught him that calling is not a decoration. It is a consecration. That is where this word meets you today. You are being consecrated through what you keep surrendering. The choices you have made are not random acts of discipline floating in isolation. They are threads in a larger pattern. They are signs that God is shaping your inner life to recognize His voice more quickly and trust His ways more deeply. You may still feel unfinished, and that is because you are still in process. But do not confuse process with aimlessness. Process is often the very place where calling becomes clear. You are not here by accident. You are not walking through these hidden tests for no reason. You are not being asked to surrender again and again because God enjoys strain. You are being refined because your life carries purpose. You are being marked because there is something God intends to entrust to you. And the mark is not merely in what you say you believe. It is in what you repeatedly choose when pressure arrives. It is in the shape your soul takes under God's hand. It is in the way obedience has become more precious to you than temporary relief. So let this settle over you with quiet certainty. What happened today was not coincidence. It was one more sign of calling. The same God who marked David through hidden faithfulness, patient waiting, and repeated surrender is marking you now. He is teaching you through the ordinary. He is setting you apart through consistency. He is making your private yes part of a larger story that will become clearer in time. And one day you will look back at these seemingly simple moments and realize they were never simple at all. They were the places where God kept writing His purpose into the fabric of your life. One surrendered decision at a time. Heaven is preparing your next assignment because of what you did today. And that should fill you with a steady kind of hope. Not the loud kind that depends on instant signs, but the deep kind that knows God is always building ahead of you. What happened today was not only about survival. It was not only about making it through one more test, one more pressure point, one more moment where your soul had to choose between the old way and the holy way. It was also preparation. It was confirmation. It was one more sign that your spirit is being trained for what is next. God does not waste obedience. He does not overlook the hidden yes. He does not ignore the quiet surrender that costs you something real. He gathers it. He honors it. He builds with it. This is why you must not think that today's victory ends with today. It continues, it travels, it opens. It strengthens your future in ways you cannot fully map yet. Some doors do not open because of talent alone. Some assignments are not entrusted because of desire alone. Some next steps come when the soul has learned to carry weight without breaking under it. That is what God has been doing in you. He has been building a steadier vessel. He has been teaching your inner life how to remain under His hand. He has been shaping you through choices that felt costly in the moment but are becoming precious in the larger story of your life. You may not know exactly what your next assignment looks like. It may be a greater measure of peace. It may be a deeper level of clarity. It may be a new responsibility, a new opportunity, a new connection, a new season of service, a new place of influence, or simply a stronger mind and a cleaner heart with which to walk into tomorrow. But whatever form it takes, you can be sure of this. God is not preparing something random. He is preparing something that fits the person He is forming in you. The next assignment is never detached from the current shaping. It grows out of it. That is why this moment carries such holy importance. You have been learning how to obey when no one else notices. You have been learning how to stand when your emotions do not make it easy. You have been learning how to refuse what would drain your strength and delay your peace. These lessons are not only about getting through, they are about becoming ready. Readiness is often quieter than people expect. It is built in hidden choices. It is built in disciplined thoughts. It is built in surrendered responses. It is built when a person keeps saying yes to God long before they understand the full shape of where that yes is leading. And now, in this very flow of truth, let your heart become still enough to pray. Father, thank you for seeing what no one else saw today. Thank you for witnessing the hidden battle, the weary thoughts, the restrained words, the quiet obedience, and the moments when your child almost gave up but did not. Thank you for the mercy that stepped in before the breaking point. Thank you for the grace that kept the soul steady when pressure tried to pull it apart. Thank you for rejoicing over every sincere act of surrender. I pray now that you would strengthen this listener for what comes next. Guard their mind, steady their heart, purify their motives, heal what is tired, restore what has been drained. Close every door that should remain shut, and open every door that belongs to your perfect will. Let peace rule where fear has tried to speak. Let clarity rise where confusion has lingered. Let holy courage grow where weariness has pressed hard. And let this chosen one walk into the next season with humility, confidence, and deep trust in you, in your care. Let nothing be wasted, in your wisdom. Let every hidden victory become part of a greater unfolding. Amen. Receive that prayer, because it is not empty comfort. It is agreement with what heaven is already doing over your life. God is not sending you into your future unguarded. He is not pushing you toward your next assignment without provision. The same God who sustained you in this day will sustain you in the next one. The same hand that kept you from falling back will also lead you forward. The same grace that helped you obey in what looked small will help you carry what becomes greater. So walk from this word with your head lifted and your spirit anchored. You are not moving into tomorrow empty-handed. You are carrying today's obedience with you. You are carrying today's mercy with you. You are carrying today's hidden victory with you. These are not small things. They are part of your preparation. They are part of your evidence. They are part of the holy foundation beneath your next step. And as this message settles into your spirit, let your response be simple and sincere. If this word has blessed you, you can like it so it reaches more people who need this same strength. You can share it with someone whose soul has been fighting quietly and needs to remember that heaven still sees. You can subscribe so you stay connected to these messages as you continue walking through your season of becoming. And if you feel led to support this work, there is a way to donate through the description, helping these words continue reaching hearts that are searching for light, courage, and truth. What you did today made God rejoice in victory. That is not a small statement. That is a holy one. And because of that victory, heaven is preparing what comes next with wisdom greater than your own and love deeper than your fears. So do not be afraid of the next assignment. Do not shrink back from the next chapter. Do not assume you are unready simply because the process has felt hidden. God knows what He has been building in you. He knows the obedience you have offered. He knows the strength that has been formed through pressure. And He knows exactly when to bring the next door into view. Stay close to Him. Stay soft before Him. Stay willing. What lies ahead will not be carried by your strength alone, but by the grace of the God who rejoices over your obedience and prepares the road before your feet. Today was not the end of something small. It was the beginning of something greater. Now let your soul rest here for a final moment. Breathe slowly. Let peace settle where pressure has lived. Let gratitude rise for the ways God kept you when you did not even realize how much help you needed. Let your heart remember that you are seen, guided, and deeply loved. The battle was real. but so was the grace that met you in it. The choice was costly, but so is the reward of walking in step with God. You are not leaving this message alone. You are leaving reminded that heaven rejoices over your obedience, reminded that mercy still covers you, reminded that your hidden victories matter, reminded that your next season is already being prepared with wisdom and care. Rest in that truth tonight. Carry it into tomorrow morning. And when the next test comes, remember this day. Remember that God was with you, that He strengthened you, and that your yes on earth released joy in heaven.